morning and welcome to your daily Gameface. I am Dr. Kim Lannon here with Lou.
Yes. What?
Lou, I'm late.
I know.
We're not going to talk about why I'm late.
That just means it's Wednesday.
Shut it. No, well, it was a good reason.
Yep.
It wasn't my fault.
Victimized.
I was victimized.
You get pulled over for the wrong
Oh
offense.
my God, you just told everybody.
Yeah. It was a mistake. It was the wrong offense.
I didn't get a ticket.
I know.
I can't believe you just outed me.
Why?
Because
Why? What's the big deal?
it's nothing.
I got pulled
Fine.
over the other day too.
I got pulled over for rolling through a stop sign,
Yeah.
which I didn't roll through anything, but whatever. But I got a warning.
Damn.
Just stop. I wasn't prepared for you to out me.
What's the big deal?
It's not a big deal.
I'll
It's
get
just
pulled over.
Oh no, it's not a big deal that I got pulled over. It was more the story that I gave you. I don't know why you share the
No.
story. Do not share the
It's
story.
fine. It's fine.
Because the story's between you and me. There's
Yep.
a confidentiality
Gotcha.
there about the story.
Gotcha.
If people want to know a story, I'll tell you on the backside. Not on the air.
The last time I got pulled over, I got out of it because my dog.
Oh.
She was going nuts at the cop in the back seat.
Oh God.
Cop was good too.
Oh well, the police officer was
Police
very.
officer,
No, I was just saying you can call him a cop.
Yeah.
The police officer was very intense at the beginning, but by the end he wasn't.
Well, he doesn't know what he's walking into.
Right. Well,
Certainly didn't with you.
don't tell my
No.
story. There's a reason why I'm a psychologist.
Yeah.
And don't do it. So anyway, good
As
morning.
soon as you texted me, I said, I want the body cam footage.
I literally looked to see if he had a body cam.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to make sure. Because I was like, oh, this is going to be Academy Award winning. I got a warning.
Yep.
He told me I should put it on my fridge or keep it over his.
That's the funniest thing. Put it on your fridge.
He says, and he made it a point to make sure I knew what his name was and where I could find him.
Did he know?
He did.
Okay.
Stop. I wasn't going to go here. Oh, remember
Not saying
remember
a
2
thing.
weeks ago today, I was in tears here.
Yes.
Now I'm like, okay. But anyways, yes, I will say that he wanted me to put it on the fridge or as a reminder, if I didn't want to put it on the fridge, and I said, oh, like a grated paper, and he
Put it on the fridge.
or
It's the funniest thing.
or put it on, or he said I could keep it on my visor in the car to remind myself to stop at that stop sign. And I'm thinking, dude, I'm never coming this way again.
How old is this officer?
I'm gonna say he was, first of all, he was a tall drink of water.
Yep.
Right, like tall, and I couldn't see him at first because the sun was in my face.
Yep.
At which I asked him,
Not a trooper, right? Local.
no, local, and
Yeah.
I asked him, could he just move so I could see him because he was in the sun. I'm replaying the whole thing in my head.
You're outing yourself.
Anyway, he was probably, I'm gonna say 30,
Oh, okay.
31,
All
maybe.
right. Yep.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I can't. I gotta move on
Yep.
because I'm starting to sweat. Lou, you're so bad.
No, I didn't say anything.
Oh God. Anyway, the year of me, the year of Kim,
Well,
the year of
it
you.
was a win today.
It was a win. Yes, it was a win. But I swear to God, I did not roll through that stop. But nonetheless,
It's a good thing that distracted him.
the roll through. Oh, shut up. Lou, you're killing me. Good morning, Leanne. What is Leanne? Is Leanne saying something?
I headed up on the way to FFCS in
Yeah.
Faribault.
Yeah, that's the Faribault Cat Sanctuary
Okay.
in Faribault, and it's a yield unless the tires stop. I get a more than two. Oh God. Yes. Well, Leanne, I'll tell you the backstory, but not on air.
Yep.
When I'm not on air. Anyway, so good morning. That was an entertaining 6 minutes of intro.
Well,
I love it. So nonetheless, we're off late this morning, but we're back on track, I think. Of course, I might bounce a little bit because there's a variety of things to talk about that you asked me to talk about that I haven't touched on, and I didn't even know why I didn't do that yet, but I will.
Yeah.
But I
was waiting for it.
I know I got to come back to the spring thing, but I really, because that's the series that I'm doing is spring, growth in spring, and that's the new thing this week. But then there's the Karen Reed trial that people have asked me to talk about, the psychology of what the hell's going on in Massachusetts with the Karen Reed trial. So
I'm so happy because that you and I see the same on this.
For once, we actually agree on something.
Because
she didn't do it.
Because it sounds like conspiracy theory, and I keep checking myself. It sounds like I'm a conspiracy theorist, but it's just like this is just none of this adds up.
I watched the whole trial, the original one. I've watched all her documentaries. I've listened to her.
I'm down to the last episode of the documentary on Max.
Okay. Well, she's no saint.
No, she's no saint.
But she's no murderer.
No.
And she did not, to your point, and I will just say this. There's no way during that blizzard, because it was my birthday time. There's no way, first of all, just off the cuff, like if you're not even watching everything and haven't, to drive in that blizzard front or backwards 30 miles an hour across that line and him and take him out. There's just no way. Yeah. And then not realize, even if you're drunky, that you've hit somebody and then left him in the snow buried under all that snow. No way. And he wasn't like it, and it wasn't like it was not as if no.
But it's given that assumption.
Yes.
Which we both have.
Yes. Which many people have. We are not alone. We are not alone on this.
I understand. It's an astounding conspiracy. I mean, it's an astounding, what they're trying to pull off is just astounding.
Well, yes.
And scares the living hell out of me.
So if people in the country that are listening don't know what's going on, which I can't imagine because it's literally on every international and national news stage, Karen Reed.
And by the way, it's good.
It's Karen Reed.
It's entertaining.
I know, but it's like it's ruined her life. I mean,
really?
In a lot of ways, because
if she gets convicted, it's ruined her life.
Well, right, but it's ruined her life up to this point because she got fired, which I don't think she should have been fired. But I understand why they did it. But I still don't think. And she's, and the money she's making off of all the stuff right now, as far as I know, from people that
are paying
for her legal fees. It's not like she's making like millions of dollars and becoming this thing. If I say like one more time, I'm in that mode from earlier. I'm in the earlier mode. All right. I gotta get rid of the like. Yeah. There's no money coming in that I can see. People are saying, "Oh, she's making all this money." As far as I know, and from that's what I was saying from people that I know, sort of on the inside of police department work in the area, there's no money going to her at this point.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean later down the road they'll probably make a movie. I think they're actually going to make a movie, but
oh God, they will.
Here they go, going to retry her again, and the level of intricacies, if you're not following it or you have no idea what this is, the level of intricacy of the police department that has gone to great lengths to set this up, for lack of better, it's such an interesting psychological phenomenal thing going on for how many players are involved and the amount of storyline and the dog was there, the dog's disappeared, rehomed, which that means rehomed is dead.
The ATF guy destroyed his phone, cut his SIM in half, went to a military base and dumped it in a dumpster.
Right.
Because that's what we all do.
Because if you're not guilty, you definitely do that, right? And then what's his name? Proctor. He's out.
Proctor got fired.
Fired a month ago or 3 weeks ago. He got fired, taken off, and he's going to probably get prosecuted for his part in the whole thing. You've got all those people that are police officers that are involved with what we'll call is the conspiracy, but there's
that's a bad word for it.
I know it's not the right word.
Seems like it's real.
Well, right. But it's not. And if you watch, if everyone wants a really entertaining story, kind of like the Jenks, remember when Durst was going through with any out. It's similar to that, except
it's endlessly entertaining and it's real. That's one of the things that makes it so entertaining.
Well, it's because,
and I feel bad for her, but
right. Leanne says, I don't think she's guilty either. She's being framed. Yeah, I think she's being framed big time. And I mean, she was in the wrong place at the wrong time that night. Like, had she not, like, it was such a fluke of like comedy of errors, so to speak, of coming into that.
Yeah.
You know, she was coming out late. She ended up hanging with them, going on. I mean, I'm shortening up the story, but there was no animosity at them on all the footage, the whole night, which was a very short night between the jumping of the bars and that they were at. There was no fighting. They didn't have any problems, unless when they got in the car for that short trip to the house that they got into a fight.
Well, they clearly had a volatile relationship.
Yeah.
But not, I'm going to run you down in my car backwards at 25 miles an hour.
Or murder, or just murder you.
Yeah.
Right. And not for nothing, that car, if she had really done that, that car would have had more damage than just, I mean, you hit a deer at 10 miles an hour and watch what happens to your car. 25 miles an hour and you hit a body.
Who backs up at 25 miles an hour?
And if you've seen the street, now I'm on this, and then I'm going to jump to spring. But if you've seen the street and that driveway and all the, there's no way.
In a blizzard?
And there was a good amount of snow already.
Yeah.
Like there's no way. There's no, like, just that alone is like, you toss it. And
but the entertaining part for me now is a second trial, what they manufacture, what they come up with that's new.
I know it's going to be
because
very
they're going to they've had months to prepare something, and it's going to be fast. They're going to come up with, I don't know, who knows what they're going to come up with, but it's going to be entertaining.
They're going to reproduce the dog that I believe is dead.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do. I think that's where, I mean, they can't produce him, and the big scratch marks and all that stuff on it, it's not from getting hit by a car at 25 miles an hour. There's no way that's from the dog.
I'm just watching the documentary on Max now.
Yeah.
And the testimony of Albert in the morning where they're all out there with the first responders pulling the body out of the snow, and women are screaming and crying. He's asleep in his bed.
Yeah.
He's a cop and he didn't go out.
Right.
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 You know, any cop.
And she's looking up at 4:30 in the morning, like, how long does it take a body to go in?
2:22 in the morning.
Oh, was it 2:22? I couldn't remember. It was 4:30.
3 hours before he was found.
Right.
Yeah.
Gee, that seems a little odd.
And but they discounted that too. It's just fascinating.
Well, it'll be interesting. When does the trial start? Because I don't even know. Next week?
I think it's next week. It's going to capture us.
I just saw it last night that they had rerouted, because there's so many people that are in favor of helping her. They've rerouted like everybody's entries into the entry.
It's going to be a circus.
It's going to be crazy. Yeah. This last weekend, I was driving along. I was in and out of Boston this weekend because I was at the World Championship skating event.
Yeah.
With all the amazing skaters. I think there were at least 3 or 4 overpass bridges that were lined with people saying "Free Karen Reed," like lined.
Yep.
Not a couple people, signs everywhere, just everywhere. So I imagine if that was just in and out of Boston, can you imagine what it's like all over the rest of Massachusetts?
Well, Turtle Boy, who's
I love him.
For those of you who don't know, he's a very controversial blogger here in Massachusetts. Been doing it for years, outing people in conspiracies. And
they don't like him.
I can see why.
But he's
they've had him in court a couple of times already.
Yes, and he's doing a fabulous job of
he's
outing
stoking the fires.
Well, he points out what the obvious is, and he's really good about that. So I love him for this.
He has no boundaries whatsoever, which I kind of love.
Well, you're right, because in other things he does, I'm like, oh God. But in this one, I think he's on point. And from a psychology perspective, this is a lot of such a weird mind screw.
I'm stunned they retried her. I'm stunned.
I am too. What a waste of money, by the way.
Waste of money, but they're exposing themselves.
Yes. Well, and that's
just walk away.
I know, because it's gonna bring.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Proctor already.
Well, I think he
paid the price.
Well, Proctor's gonna pay a bigger price too, because I think he's going to be the fall guy for trying to. That's the thing. He's going to take the heat for all of them, and they're all involved.
Took the heat on the front end. He's going to take the heat on the back end. Yep.
It's bad. Okay, so there's my take on Karen Reed, and I don't think she did it. I don't think she's
do more as the trial opens up.
And look at you, you're like, Kim, do more.
No, I love this.
Well, if there's anything psychological, had I known how big it was going to get, I would have probably done a little bit more of the forensic thing, because the forensic piece of this is really huge. And if you listen to her, she's a very interesting case. I mean, I don't know her, so I can't diagnose her or anything like that, but she is a very interesting woman psychologically. If you watch the Max doc and then you watch like some of her interviews,
she's a mass bro. She's a masshole. She's the prototypical. She's who we are.
Well, she's. Oh, I didn't say that. So I didn't say that. I'm saying more. She's the very common what I would say common, whether like I'm from Vermont, she very much reminds me of your common townie kind of person.
Townie, yeah, exactly.
So, and she just has that flair, which there's nothing wrong with, but it's amplified now even more so.
Well, she's a character in a Ben Affleck movie.
And
She's a townie.
Right. She is the town. Right. Yeah. And I think that they are capitalizing in both good and bad, healthy, unhealthy ways on her that way. And well, we'll see what happens, but it will be interesting. So I'll reroute and come back to this because Lou wants me to.
I think it's fascinating.
I do. Well, I think it's fascinating too.
And I don't know if you watch series, but every once in a while a series comes up and there's a character that I just keep repeating. I can't wait for this one to die. I can't wait to see this person die.
And who is that?
There's one in 123, in 1923. Oh. But in this thing, I can't wait for the cops to take the fall here.
Oh,
I can't wait to see this.
Well, because I think it's going to, again, if people aren't watching, and certainly I'm not involved in the case, but from an outsider perspective, just as a person, not as a professional, I think that the amount of corruption and the stuff that's going on that's insidious into this is quite long and large in terms of not just the cops. I think it's got fingers.
I had to laugh because there's a guy on the Max documentary who's very much against her.
Yes.
Criminal lawyer.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And he's laughing that, you mean this conspiracy got the EMTs to say that she said I hit him when she didn't? I go, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Right? Because there's no footage of her saying I hit him.
No. And there's all these variations of how she's said to have said it. And like,
and he seems astounded that the web could go that far. And this is
really, well, and the thing is like you have to say really, because look at all the stuff that can be said, and people are like, oh yeah, I believe that.
Yep.
Like, oh my God, about life in general. So anyway, so here we go.
Spring.
I know spring. Spring has sprung. Yay! Okay, so what I was gonna do 2 weeks ago, and I actually have to go back to that. So I have to do some little roundabout closure. I got some beautiful cards in the past week again, and I have to thank people for them. But I have to do a shout out to a woman. Her name is Casey Egan. And she, within the first week and change, she is someone I know through doing my work with wild cats, exotic cats. And she's an artist. She is a phenomenal artist. I can't even there's not a word besides phenomenal. There's no words, right? Because she's so good. Yep. She turned around and did a watercolor of Sophie that is supposed to arrive today, but it is so spectacular that people that have seen the picture of the watercolor have said they can see me, it's like a reflection. It's so fascinating. So when I get it, I will post it. I got something in my eye.
Oh, good. I can't wait to see it.
It's spectacular. Yeah. And I thank her, and she did it as a loving thing for me. And I just love her and thank her. And I don't know if she's listening, but I'll make sure I let her know that she got a shout out. But she's a phenomenal artist, and I just am floored. And so
thank you. That was kind.
Yes, it was so lovely. Oh, hi, Kevin.
Kevin's just working.
I know Kevin's just coming in the studio next door. So I just wanted to thank her for that. And then of course a whole bunch of people had sent beautiful cards, and so there's a whole bunch of stuff that was really lovely, and it's no less hard still, but I'm sort of game facing it. So anyway, so spring. So here we are back in the series. That's the new one for this week and next week. So next week, I believe I have a guest coming.
Oh, nice.
So we're going to be talking about springing into your best self in terms of fitness and nutrition and all those things. So if you remember, Amy Salant from a couple years ago came on.
Yes.
She's coming back next week. So be prepared.
Okay.
So we can talk about that. But
here or remotely?
Here. She's going to come in. She's local. Nice. She's coming in. Is that okay with you?
It's fine by me.
So she's going to come in, and we're going to talk about those things. But today we're going to talk about just being, the year of you, how do you now transition into spring? And one of the biggest mistakes people make in terms of springtime is the daylight savings. See, it was going to be timed perfectly 2 weeks ago, but daylight savings really screws people up on a lot of levels. It screws up people's sleep patterns. It screws up people's eating patterns and social patterns. Like it has 4 or 5 things that I can just think of the top of my head.
Worse than the other one?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. I mean, maybe
this is
not,
a good one.
Maybe not worse. Well, yeah, here's why.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is why. So I think they're probably equal, but there's a downside to this because the other side is, sad. You get seasonal affective disorder, right? But this side, you have other things that come up. So maybe it's equalized, right? I don't know the stats on it, but here it is. So in the springtime, when the light is longer, we tend to screw up our sleep patterns because what we'll do is we'll extend because the day is longer.
Right.
The daylight is longer. We will be more inclined to do things more, keep going longer, lights longer. Therefore, we go to bed later, but we still get up at the same time. So right. And so it shortens our sleep patterns. It also messes up the circadian rhythm in here's a big word. Ready?
Okay.
The suprachiasmatic nucleus.
Wow.
I know, right? Say that fast 5 times. But it changes your circadian rhythm, obviously, because we're on the sleep-wake cycle of the sun and the moon and so on. But if we extend our day because the sun has extended, and we, instead of going to bed at 11, we go to bed at midnight, or we don't go to bed at 10, we go to, you're changing your pattern significantly in terms of your sleep and how your body has regulated. So I encourage people that don't do that. Like if your normal bedtime is 10, unless it's some special occasion, go to bed at 10. It don't, so that doesn't mean that you have to, because the daylight savings changed the timing, just get it in that window that would be similar to what you'd already been doing. Don't then stay up an extra couple hours, because then you're really changing the pattern of your brain, and your brain is going off of melatonin that it produces on its own. And it has other chemical properties that are neurotransmitters that are also emitting that need to get regulated. So if you're changing and your body doesn't realize, it's kind of like jet lag.
Yeah.
If you're going back and forth between the country or you're going overseas and coming back, I mean, it's the same kind of concept, but it's really important to kind of keep your sleep schedule very similar to that. And that being said, the other problem that comes up is food. People tend to eat later when the light is out, because they'll be, and what happens when you eat later?
What happens?
What happens when you eat later?
I'm not sure specifically what you're asking about.
Okay. Wow. I usually can jump in and guess.
Yeah.
Well, the later you eat, the closer you go to bed, then it's harder to have a sleep that's good. But you're going to be more
digesting is anti-sleep,
because you're going to sleep on it, so to speak, and you're just going to sit there with it. So if you're used to having dinner at 7 or 8, like, some of us, or later, I already am in that pattern. And now you are outside gardening and doing all the things that come with spring and doing those things, you're more likely to eat 8, 9 or 8:30, 9:30. Yeah. Now, if your bedtime is usually 10:30, 11, now you've condensed all these factors on top of each other, which doesn't make you have, you think growth in spring. This kind of inhibits that from being growth, because you're sort of trying to pack in all this wonderfulness during a wonderful day, but then you're really changing your schedule. So I encourage people in my practice to not change your patterns of food and to actually eat less. People go lighter in the spring and summer. Why? Because they tend to eat less, because it's warmer weather, right. It's harder to eat as much, and we're up in the Northeast, so people tend to pack on a little weight because we go dormant, so to speak, in the winter.
It's theoretically warmer weather.
Yeah.
Hasn't been warmer so far.
Well, today is very nice out. Yeah. And yesterday was too, but it was windy.
Yeah.
And tomorrow's gonna be 65. That's like a heat wave.
Nice. Yeah.
But you're more inclined to have a weight fluctuation because of this. So people who fight off, seasonal affective disorder, and then they pack on 15, 20 pounds over the winter and come into spring. Yeah, you might shed some pounds, but also I see people that really struggle with their weight, and which Amy and I can talk about next week, but I'm going to address it a little bit today. They struggle with weight or their physicality or their emotional well-being because they don't shift into the spring mindset. They kind of stay on the same thing and then increase it because, they're still going to eat the same amount of food, but it's just going to be at 8:30 or 9 o'clock when the sun goes down. And then they're going to go to bed on it. And then, or they'll be more likely to snack because they haven't eaten all, people will go all day working in the garden or hanging out and doing some kind of really fun activity out and about, but then they won't eat. And then they'll pack in like all these like high calorie junky snack things later in the night. And then that sits with them. In the winter, people don't do that as much. Not to say that certainly some people do, but that's just not normally a thing. So I think that sleep and eating thing is a double whammy that's important for people to know, that to grow in the spring and summer, to really get into a better pattern so you have it all year long, is to stay in the timing pattern. If you're up at 6:30 every day, stay in the up at 6:30 every day. If you're bedtime,
the adjusted 6:30 is okay.
I think that as long as you stay in the window of that hour, that's your typical hour, is fine. Because then you won't have to really make big adjustments when we come to the fallback, right?
Yep.
But if you don't want to keep adjusting up and down too much, but if you stay in that window because it's really hard for people, I think it's healthier for you.
We have to stop this.
Why?
Just changing the.
I'm like, we're stopping my show.
No,
I'm like, what are we doing?
Changing the times. We have to stop.
And of course that's been talked about for 30 years.
Not only that, we should stop this and go to Atlantic time.
I get it. So, but who knows? But I think instead of it, if you can't stop it and it hasn't stopped, you can adjust for it.
Yeah.
Right. And what it does is when you can adjust your sleep pattern to be the same or in that window, you're going to maintain some level of mental health that you had before. Now, if it wasn't good in the first place, well, this is going to at least not make it worse.
Yep.
And so that's a benefit, but also it's a benefit for people who don't have as great of mental health with anxiety and things like that. If you are a person who can get up at 6:30 or 7 and whatever time it is, and then you go to bed at your normal time, you're not going to then have as much stress and anxiety, because with lack of sleep, what happens with anxiety? It goes up. And I've talked about sleep hygiene many times, that if you don't have good sleep, the anxiety the next day is so much worse. And then go to the food piece. If you're sitting on food going into the bed, and then also if we're more inclined in the spring and in the summer as we're going through to have more alcoholic beverages, because we tend to be more social. In the wintertime, we are not as social because of the cold and all those things, especially Northwest, Northeast, all the people that are listening down South. It's a little different. But in general, we tend to be, and I would say even anecdotally, like my friends that live down South would say that they are much more shut in during the winter because it's cold for them, even though for us it would be like, ooh. So in the spring and summer, we tend to we don't shut in, we go social. And our social is like, you go to a beach day, coming here in the next month or so here, maybe a month and a half. It's, people get to the beach at 8:00 in the morning and they stay till 5 in the afternoon. And it, extends like the social time that you're not used to doing, or you go to bigger, more elaborate events because you're not bundled up and then you're outside all day and you're doing something active usually, right? Not everybody, but so your whole lifestyle changes in spring and summer. So that, when you go into fall and winter, it's almost like you're falling into something, and springing your growth. So think growth, and the year view is that you're trying to think growth. And some of that is just maintain like healthy sleep and eating habits, and don't overindulge in food and booze. No boozy.
Back to the basics, right? Sleeping, eating, activity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so
that's the first place to start cleaning.
And then in terms of there's the next piece. People have this thing about like, spring cleaning, right? So that's the next layer. Spring cleaning is great. However, I try to get people to, people go out and buy whole new wardrobes, or they'll buy all new things. I'm not a big fan of that, because it's sort of like a facade that builds around the person's psychology of, especially when people are material driven.
Yep.
And then once you get something new, it's like, well, that wears off really quickly. So then you have to get the next new thing. And it's not like, you know what I mean? It never is never enough. So I'm of the mind of spring clean, like clean out, get rid of, do more of that, the Swedish death clean that I talk about, get rid of things, really clean out, but don't add more things, move things around. So change furniture placement, change pictures on the wall, like give yourself a movement, even repainting something so it changes the color. So you're not actually adding more in. We're thinking spring forward, get rid of, do or move things forward, not add. We don't want to add in because then it's heavy. Think spring is light and adding in makes you heavy, right? So lack of sleep makes you heavy. Too much food item is heavy. If you buy more things to replace things you get rid of, heavy, right? So that's not springing forward. That's not growth related.
Right.
So super important I can't emphasize enough of like, take a room and just shift it around, or, in the next 3 to 4 weeks, do a couple little minor changes in your kitchen or in a bathroom, or so that when you walk in, it feels more renewed or more fresh. And I also tell people, because wow, there's people out there that have really gross cars. Take a look at your car and do like a spring clean of your car, because people are notorious for. I had 5 water bottles yesterday that were all empty on the floor in my front seat, because the past couple of days, because we were in and out of, I just was like, toss, water bottle, toss, water bottle, toss. And I'm a little bit more obsessive compulsive about those things, so I get rid of them. But now my car is clean. But I had 5 water bottles. I'm talking people that are like, you can't sit in their car, or you do and you sit in something sticky, and if you don't have kids and that's the thing, that shouldn't be a thing. If you have kids and there's something sticky, I get it. But spring's a time to just get things kind of refurbished. Don't add new things. Don't go get new things.
Yeah, but the change up is important. Like you said, changing a room around.
Yes.
Just giving yourself more stimulus, because it becomes background noise so quickly, and you don't pay any attention to it. But that change in your home routine just kind of, again, stimulates you, keeps you active.
Well, and it's like enrichment for humans, right?
Yeah.
I mean, animals need enrichment, and that means that they need change and like stimulation in their brain, like in the box that they live in, so to speak. So you need to make sure that you're giving yourself as well that same kind of stimulus change, so that you're like looking at something new. So you're not, taking it for granted. It's, kind of like driving on the highway. You've done to here to there so many times. It's just, you don't even realize, or you roll through a stop that is there.
You were probably distracted.
Lou.
Just having fun.
Lou, you're killing me.
I'm enjoying it.
I know you are. Stop.
Okay.
I have smart listeners. They're gonna figure it out.
I know.
Shut it. I don't want them to hear and then tell the police, and then they'll come back and give me another thing.
No, they won't. They won't.
I got pulled over.
Just show them you've already been talked to.
Because I rolled through a stop.
Take the warning off your refrigerator and show them.
I could make copies of it.
Yeah.
I got to stop. Oh, God. So many, like, okay.
Neither of us should be driving through Canton anytime soon either.
Yeah, if you're coming to Massachusetts, don't drive through Canton, Massachusetts. Because, but I can't give people in Canton a bad rap. Well, it wouldn't be the people. It would just be
not the people.
It's
no.
the police officers.
Yeah.
I know. I'm not going to Canton.
No.
I know.
Not going to Canton either.
Yes. Maybe not even near it. I'll have to. I'm going to help somebody next week.
In Canton?
Well, down in Brockton.
Okay.
Remember last year?
Oh, yeah.
We're jumping off into a separate subject. But Chris DiOrio, who, by the way, I was going to talk about, but Chris DiOrio is doing his pre-marathon Feed the Homeless charity. What would you call that? Charity drive event.
Yeah.
And he makes like all this Italian food, and then he goes out in the community, and you can either donate $25 a plate, or you can go out and help him or whatever. But I told him, remember last year, I said, I will help you. And so I believe it's next Sunday. I believe if he's listening, he has to let me know that. But I believe it's next Sunday. And so but it's out in that area. It's in that space.
Okay.
So he makes big plates of food, and then but I hope to plan on going to help him go out and give those plates of food to people that are in the community that live in like tented cities and under the bridge. And
wait a second. When's the marathon?
The 21st.
21st. Okay.
It's in 20 days.
So right before the marathon.
It's the weekend before.
Yeah.
Last year he did it on the weekend of, and I'm like, dude, this is not a good thing to be doing the weekend of the marathon. But because if it's the weekend of the marathon, I can't help you. But I believe it's next week. Anyway, so going back to my spring, you're getting me off topic because you're jumping me around. Stop talking about Karen Reed. Now I'm in that mode again. The springing forward. Okay. So the cleaning thing is so important because it's refreshing, right? So it's kind of like when you take a shower and you haven't taken one since yesterday. It's like, okay, I've renewed for the day. This is the same concept. It actually stimulates the brain and the neurotransmitters. Wow, that was a weird way I just said that. It's the serotonin and the dopamine and the feel good neurotransmitters that are in the body that help you have more regulation in the body, and it regulates like the brain to the stomach kind of changes. So that's the gastrointestinal tract. It's your adrenal gland. It's going to be your endocrine system. It's going to be all the things that boost your immunity. So I'm really encouraging people to kind of like package this whole thing together in a healthier way. The other piece of it, which there are a couple more, is the socializing. The socializing is really, I said a little bit about it, but the socializing, don't just go full gangbusters into like being social, because what happens is then it gets into all those other things. Do it little by little so that you're not overextending yourself and getting yourself all worked up over committing, because then you get tired. And then because spring is so exciting for people, because, if you're sporty, then you're going to baseball games and you're going to t-ball games, all the things that come up for youth sports are coming out, soccer. And then you're also going to big, pro events, because all of a sudden, especially here in Boston, we've got basketball, we've got soccer, we've got lacrosse, we've got hockey, baseball. So people are always getting, their season tickets. So they're spending a lot of time doing all these things, but I would say ease into it slowly, so you're not then producing over stress on, okay, I ate too much, now I'm running late, I drank too much, now I'm going to bed later, right? Because that's what, especially if you're going to Fenway and you're going to see a Red Sox game, you're doing a 4:00 or a 7:00, you're not coming home till late. And if you have season tickets or you're going a couple times, your pattern's off. So, and there's a lot of social there. And in the winter, people just don't do that as much for things. They go to hockey games or things, or football games when that is in that last part of it, but not really. So ease into your social life and don't do over the top. Or make sure you keep your plan that, if you're going to be out late, you're not going to mess up your whole sleep schedule. Once in a while it's fine, because we do that, but just be careful, because you'll overwhelm yourself, and then you'll be, right now people are scrambling to lose weight. That's the thing that's happening right now, right? So the past week, people have been like, okay, it's coming into April, I need to lose 50 pounds by June. I'm like, oh, well. But we're not working out, we're not eating anything healthy, and I have a Dove candy bowl in my office that gets cleared out every week. So I'm like, okay.
Do you have a regular sleep schedule?
Sort of,
because I have no idea what that's like.
So, well, you don't, because you have different things going on. I would say I have a typical routine of the week based on, because I have some days where I work till X time, and then I have some days that's earlier, and then I have a couple days a week that I work really late. So but it's consistent. So I'm in a routine.
Okay. The routine's consistent, not necessarily.
I went. And my sleep schedule, I have to, and this, my sleep schedule, because I have a very old cat who sundowns because she has a little dementia, that when I go to bed, she gets up.
Yeah.
And when I want to get up in the morning to get up, she goes to sleep.
Yep.
So she keeps me up. Last night we got up at, we started crying at 12:30, and then at 4:30, and then at 5:30, and then at 6:30, and then at 7 She was asleep.
How long before this pays off? In other words, you probably change your routine as you approach the marathon.
I do.
Yeah.
So my routine has been changing around that over the past month and a half a lot. Around, I wouldn't say my food stays the same pretty much consistently, but my sleep and my sleep cycles and my patterns like that, I change them to make sure I get good. And I'm not actually going to tell, as you know why I'm not going to tell exactly what that is, because you know why.
So about 3 months lead time.
Yeah, like
we'll
January,
reap the benefits.
January, the end of January is when I really started doing it. And then
3+ months. Yeah.
Yeah. So into it because and because sleep for marathoning is so important. And I have one memory of one amazing weekend going into sleep, because you never sleep the night before a half or any of those events, right? You just don't. But I had 2 nights before a half marathon out in California a few years back that I had one of the best half marathons of my life. And it was because I slept. Yeah. And I slept really good 2 nights in a row. And then the night before, I think I had some okay sleep, which, it's negligible, especially for the marathon. But I've got it all planned that I've been getting good sleep.
Yeah.
So that because it's a repairer. I did 14 miles on, what's today, Wednesday? I did 14 and change on Monday. And then I had terrible sleep because I love her, my little Bubba Echo. But I had terrible sleep. So I was lactic aciding yesterday in my quads, like nobody's business. Yeah. And I ended up getting a massage last night because I couldn't move.
No, it's just sleep deprivation.
And I think it was mostly because I had done I think it was mostly just poor sleep on top of the 14 miles that was later in the day. And then.
So you have to kind of think of it in both terms as immediate day-to-day results, right, and success and results here, but also to get benefits of changing in patterns, it takes there's some ramp up, there's some runway.
Right. And so to make it generalizable, because, obviously no one else is out there probably marathoning, right? For the most part that's listening, except for my runners. If you're just going to the gym and you're working out and you're doing like a half an hour of strength training, or you're running, or you're treadmilling, or you're biking, or you're swimming, whatever it is, you're just being a normal person, not like, marathoning.
Yeah.
You still, to build muscle or to lose weight or to lean out or to do the sleep process is the repair process to have all those things happen. And people forget that or don't know that. And sleep is so important to that. And it helps you get faster, stronger, more mobility, more flexible, right?
So underrated, sleep, eating, activity.
Right. And yes, see, there's the new one, sleep, eating, activity, SEA.
Okay.
I love it. I'm stealing it. It's mine now.
You can have it.
Thank you. But sleep is that key point to go even back to like the social piece, is because you need to have that so that you're on point. Like my whole weekend, Saturday afternoon to Sunday night I was in and out of Boston for the World Championships figure skating. And the first night, my sleep schedule was really off because we didn't get back until like 1 a.m. And that's not normal for me.
Yeah.
But the event goes late, then you're up with all the people and all that. So, but it's a once in a great while kind of thing. But
you feel the effects.
But this morning when I was getting ready, I was like, I'm still dragging from the weekend. And it wasn't because of food and it wasn't because of alcohol. It was the sleep schedule got turned.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You feel the effects immediately, but it takes a couple nights to get back on track.
Well, so I always liken it to the same thing as like a hangover, because if you don't get the good sleep and you're not used to that kind of schedule, it will drag out and it's just accumulated throughout the week. So by the time here on Wednesday, I'm thinking, by Friday I'm going to be in like. Especially because on my Thursdays, I have a very long day on Thursdays, and I'm thinking, this is going to be rough. And it's just because of the sleep is off.
Yeah.
But I'll fix it. And by the way, you cannot do catch-up sleep. People think that's a myth.
I was just going to ask you, naps and catch-up
sleep. So naps are different.
Yeah.
You can't deprive yourself of sleep all week and then think that it works. And this is a whole nother show. So people are listening that are going to give me feedback, I'm sure later, about like, this is what okay. I know what the deal is, but I'm just shortening it for you. There's you can't really catch it up. So you can take naps, 20 minutes. Don't take more than really 20 or 30 minutes because then it will mess up your sleep schedule, right? But quick 20-minute kind of blasts if you need them. But also, if you're really sleep deprived over the week, on the weekend, if you sleep in and you do 12 hours, you're not doing anything. You're getting great sleep maybe, and you're sleeping a long time, but you're not actually helping yourself. You're just, you're not resetting. You're not catching up. You're just now extending the possibility, and more likely that if you're now getting up at 11 a.m. because you've slept for 10 or 12 hours, now what are you doing the back end of the day?
Right.
Because now you're going to be laying there either with no TV on, thinking to yourself, or on the phone, or, all those things. Interesting little tidbit. There was, and now I'm trying to remember if it was an Australian Journal of Medicine. I'll have to go back. But there was an article that came out, some research that came out that actually said, I was very surprised by this, and I was happily surprised that the blue light that they have been talking about that keeps people up and all these negative effects is not really a thing for adults. It's more for kids, and it's not really as impactful as they originally thought on our sleep patterns. It's more, which I've always believed, the blue light thing, I don't do the research on that, so I just read about it. But I've always known in the stuff that I've worked on and with cases of anecdotal stuff in my practice that it's not the blue light, in my opinion. It's the stimulation of the shows.
Yeah.
So I always find it really relaxing, which people think is funny, that I will watch like Dateline, Snapped, Who Killed My Mother. Like I watch all that stuff at night. And people always say, like, you work all day and you hear all these stories and then you come home and your wind down is that? I'm like, mm-hmm.
Yep.
And they're like, really? I'm like, mm-hmm. So it's weird. I know. But
it's funny, the nap thing for me, I love naps, but it's not necessarily the sleep. For me, it's just getting in a quiet place and winding down, and I'll scroll a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that, scrolling has its ups and downs in terms of like your mental health.
I think it's villainized.
And it gets villainized, especially because of the whole like kid thing and social media and how much time kids spend on it, because it gets used as babysitting.
Dan likes true crime too.
Oh, yes. It's so
That's how she knew about Karen Reed.
Probably, right? But the scrolling thing, I think you have to limit it, especially what is your algorithm? My algorithm is
cat videos.
It's like it's lovely. It's peaceful. It's relaxing in most cases, and I'm very good at. In the past couple of months, I've actually unfriended people and deleted people off of my social media.
I'm in that kick too, where I'm just either snoozing people or just unfollowing them.
Yeah, I haven't just unfollowed. I have actually unfriended. Like, I had a banner week a couple of weeks ago. I had 8 people. Goodbye. Because it's too much and I was like, it kept going. And I was like, okay. And that's where you have to see, like, is this going to help you grow, or is this really going to stunt you? And I'm like, this is going to, if you know people really well and you just know they're posting up things and you don't agree, and I don't ever post up things that one time that I just did the one thing, I was like, oh my God, this is so stupid. But I just don't post up that stuff. And so if people post up and I see it and I'm like, okay, whatever. Yeah. If it's really vile to me, I will unfollow, or I will just snooze. Snoozing is great. Snooze for 30 days and then I'll have to see your stuff, and then we'll see if it gets better. But I had 8 people that was like, I'm done, because it was a pattern. And that's where it's unhealthy, because that's not, if it's unhealthy for you, you have to draw the boundary, which is important for your spring growth, right? Do you have good boundaries for yourself? What are you going to tolerate? What are you going to allow? What do you want around you? What do you have the patience for yourself? And will it impact you? If it's impacting you and it's going to impact you, which this was, I was like, I'm out on this, right? Like, I don't have this.
But I don't get into that stuff. I'm basically just lowering the noise floor. You and I are saying there's a lot of static all the time, and just getting out of it for 30 or 40 minutes.
Right.
And you're just looking at, dog videos on TikTok or something.
Dog videos, cat videos, funny things. Like, I love, I do happen to love watching, the good series of like Karen videos. Those are entertaining to me.
Exactly.
Like, because they're not anything that has any like controversy to me. So they're fun to watch because I always just have to laugh. It's kind of like me watching crime shows at night because people just being crazy makes me laugh.
Yeah.
Because it does, right? Yeah. So those kinds of things. So, move your algorithm around. It's amazing because of obviously Sophie dying. One of the things talk about making it hard to spring forward and have growth and move forward from grieving. My phone got just loaded from not me putting things in the phone or looking anything up, but literally it was like every possible animal death thing. And I'm like, and I'm like, delete. No, I don't want to see that again. No, because, and not for nothing, I think this will be a show that will be coming. Talking about death and dying is super important. I think that people don't talk about it enough. And I think that, or at all.
Yeah.
And there's such a stigma around it and such a, it's like, what people used to be like about cancer. It's the C word, it's, don't talk about death. Kids need to be exposed early. People need to be exposed. It should not be. We are a culture in the United States, really specifically, and because of the work I do with veterinarians and talking to people in animal, that you cannot have growth if you aren't able to look at, the life cycle and be able to look at grief and what grieving is. And and I've said this to you, the grieving process, coming through adversity in your life and springing forward is it's just the love you can't give anymore. So how do you find another way to give it? So, but my phone was loaded, like loaded. And I'm talking right now and it's probably picking all this up and it's going to be loaded again, even though I deleted everything.
The reaction is astounding of your phone.
It's
what you get fed.
Right. And so, and it's not because I don't deal with grief. It's because I don't need all this stuff in my phone log. It's quite something. What does Heather say?
Heather says we need to know how to handle loss.
Yes. And I think, what was it, 2 weeks ago or, no, it was last Wednesday. I talked about how, the things not to say to people because of that, right? Because people are so, and that comes from people's inability, to have gone through what I'm saying. They don't have the background. They don't have the education, not saying people aren't educated, but they don't have the knowledge base to just be comfortable enough to talk about it. And they don't know what to say. Instead of just saying something normal, they say something weird and something that is not nice or something that feels terrible.
Well, they have this point, I think, handling loss, especially on the large scale, treats you for the small scale. And I think that's where people have a lot of trouble handling setbacks.
Well,
that's loss, not on a death type scale, but just day-to-day setbacks.
It's loss in general.
Yeah,
like, like people moving away, getting fired, jobs, like there's loss comes in lots of forms. And another show that I have in the queue for myself to do is like what trauma really is down the line, and being able to really handle loss. And people don't do that because people don't talk enough about it. It's kind of like talking about failure and success. People don't talk enough about the healthy stuff about what importance it is to have failure and be not perfect and all those things. And that's all about kind of, I guess last week was a springboard for this spring show, is really being able to sit with adversity and do something with it. And how do you move forward with it? I mean, I have so many things running through my head right now about like things that came to me last week about after I did the show about, because I was driving and I was like, I've got these thoughts now, like of how to integrate that more in people's lives, in my patients and so on. But Heather is right about the handling loss. People just don't do it well. I had a 11-year-old in my office yesterday who has a father that's a little older, and she was talking about him dying. She couldn't even say the word. He's not dying. He's not dying, but she's got it. She's, common for, and I tried to tell her, I said, it's really normal for someone your age to worry about parents dying and all that stuff. And her mom was like, really? I'm like, yes, it's very normal. And the fact that he's much older was freaking her out because she kept thinking old means death. And so we're going to have to revisit that because it was so intense for her.
Something triggered her and put this concept in her head. Now she's dealing with it.
Right.
And it's healthy that she's talking about it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. She didn't like talking about it. She wanted to stop the conversation, but
I didn't say it was likable. I said it was healthy.
Right. Exactly. She did not want to keep going. The other piece that I was going to add into, and the last piece about just the springing forward and growth is people are hesitant to do fun, joyful, playful things. And I think spring is a good time for people to be creative. And so I tell people, go go get stuff, including families, like men, women, like everybody. Go like buy some finger paints or go buy bubbles and go do like chalk art on the ground. Like do stuff that's fun. You don't have to go create a Monet. Do something creative and, sign up for a sip and paint if you want to. Go do some pottery, buy some clay and just, do something, because the creative time is really in the spring. People get much more excited and growth oriented in the spring. So capitalize on it.
Yep.
You don't have to go spend $500 on an art class. You just have to go out and do something creative. Go walk through nature. That's creative. Go pick up a couple leaves and do that with your kids and try to identify them. Go on nature treasure hunts, or, if you're not with kids and you don't have that, okay, take your dog, do something like that. Go create, a painting with your dog in finger paint. Like, there's so many cool things out there. And if people wanted a list, I could name probably 500 things, but people don't think like that. They get stuck in their pattern.
Right.
But that's the other piece of this. So you have C, so I'm going to use that, the sleep, eat, exercise, sleep, eat, and activity, but then be social and creative, be creative on your own and clean out your sort of space to get your headspace right. So if adversity comes, like a loss or a change or something big, you have the space and the mentality to go forward and really have growth with it. So it doesn't become as hard. So the time on the wall and the person that just came in behind me for the next show is here. So, but next week we should be having a guest. Amy Salant from Fitness Together, who owns Fitness Together here, is coming, and we will be doing that. And 20 days away from the marathon, everybody. So here we go. All right. Have a great week, and I will talk to you then.